The Europeans have discovered that the real threat to human civilization is not global warming. It never was global warming. The real threat to people is global cooling, otherwise known as winter.
That was Tucker Carlson with his patronizing tone, speaking to his audience as if they're full of morons, like it's full of idiots who can't understand him. But nonetheless, that's him pretending as if, no, we should actually be concerned about global cooling, which is why the Mendenhall Glacier has been melting, which is why the sea level has been rising because of the ice caps melting. Now, let's watch the rest of his insane theory and then we'll discuss.
Far more people freeze to death every year than die of heat. In 2019, for example, 4 times as many people died of cold as of heat. That's according to the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation. So when temperatures in Europe begin to drop a few months from now, this is a huge problem. And that will be obvious to everyone. It's not global warming, it's global cooling. That's what's gonna kill your grandmother. And when everyone understands that perfectly well, a lot of things are gonna happen. The status quo will crumble. Factories will close. Unemployment will rise. Disposable income will disappear.
So big brain Tucker Carlson doing the age-old trick of intentionally conflating temperature with climate. He's referring to temperature-related deaths, which is different from climate change-related deaths, which of course can be caused by things like extreme weather conditions, natural disasters that are exacerbated as a result of climate change, all of that. Food insecurity, which will only increase in coming years. I mean, climate change isn't coming, climate change is here. We see it all the time, we see it every day. To the point, by the way, where even Republican voters are acknowledging that it is in fact very real. What's amazing about Tucker Carlson is he's stuck in the early 2000s when Republicans were still in denial about the existence of climate change. But here we are, Tucker Carlson. I mean, Bush wanted no child left behind, but what happened to Tucker?
Yeah, so look, this is always trick in the book, and are his viewers gonna fall for it? Of course they're gonna fall for it. The minute winter arrives, they're gonna be like, oh my God, Tucker was right. Winter did come. Yes, there's still the 4 seasons. Just because there's climate change happening doesn't mean that winter ends all of a sudden. And by the way, yes, more people die in the winter than they do in the summer. That's always been the case. But he makes it sound like it's because of global cooling. So wait, Tucker, should we do something about your so-called global cooling? Do you have any policy proposals? Should we pass any laws? Should we regulate industry to prevent global cooling? Nope. It's so transparent. He has no proposals. He's making it up. He's just basically saying winter's gonna come, and a lot of his audience has already seen Game of Thrones, so they know that winter is in fact coming. And then he does his like little Bane trick at the end, where he's like, disposable income will go down, unemployment will go up, manufacturing industries will be laid to waste. And then they're like, oh my God, it's all because of global cooling. No, manufacturing's going down for 1,000 different reasons, having nothing to do with global warming or global cooling. Okay, so, but it's so easy to trick right wingers. So they will not listen to 99% of the world's scientists, but they will listen to that knucklehead heir to the Swanson fortune who's obviously tricking them.
But okay, so one should ask why? Why is the right wing, not the pundits or the politicians, specifically right wing voters, why are they predisposed to these types of arguments denying climate change? It's because they do have an interest in denying it. Because if they accept it, then in their minds, and I can understand why they think this, they would have to just completely change their lifestyles. Because all that's been communicated to them by liberals is that we need to do something about climate change. We're not gonna do anything about the fossil fuel companies. We want you to change your behavior. We want you to use the plastic bag. We want you to stop using the plastic bags, use the paper straws, take shorter showers. You get what I'm saying, Cenk? Stop eating meat. Like everything is about the individual. It is the individual's responsibility. And when you're living under the conditions that most Americans are living under today, that is not a popular message. So while I certainly think Republicans are like Tucker Carlson, Republican politicians are terrible because what they want to do is protect corporate interests and fossil fuel companies. I think there's also a problem with the mainstream Democratic Party and the majority of their proposals, because what they propose, again, mostly focuses on individuals changing their behavior. And that can be incredibly frustrating for people.
Yeah, well, why do we have plastic straws, which are poll at approximately 2%? I mean, everybody hates plastic, not plastic straws, paper straws, right? Mm-hmm. The reason we have paper straws is because Democrats take tons of money from fossil fuel companies. So they don't want to do the things that would help much more, like by an order of magnitude. It would help 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 times more than paper straws, right? But paper straws, that just puts the burden on you. And then Tucker Carlson's like, thank you for the gift, because people don't like paper straws, right? And on top of that, we'll pretend that you guys are gonna ban planes and hamburgers, which isn't true, but we'll just pretend and they'll all believe it, right? But the fact that he's bothering to talk about any climate change shows you that Tucker thinks they're losing. There's too many severe weather events. And people are going, wait, there is something wrong here. And so that's why Tucker's switching from there's nothing wrong to no, it's global cooling. Don't worry, all of the world's scientists are still lying. Do not ever trust anyone with facts or information. Only turn to Fox News where we'll give you corporate propaganda, right? But look at the fact that he had to change his lie and admit that there are severe weather events. And one more thing about that, Anna, for Republican voters, which is always different than Republican politicians and Republican media. The Republican voters I get super frustrated at 1,000 things, as you all know, right? And I'm by far the toughest person in all of media on Republican voters. But in this case, a lot of the younger Republican voters, because they're not getting their information from Fox News, they're getting it from online, are able to look up these things, and they're starting to lose their younger voters big time on climate change. Mm-hmm. And younger Republican voters are going, no, climate change is real. All the scientists are not making it up. And plus I can see it with my eyes and I could look it up. There's no question the planet is getting warmer and it's a recipe for disaster. That's why Tucker's scrambling to come up with new idiotic talking points.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's move on to something a little different. I don't think it's an important story, but I do think it's a fun, salacious one. So let's get into it.